Lastly, here for chapter 5, before we get to the code samples, I just wanted to interject while you are reading here down through 5.6. This happens to be on page 305. There's a section heading in here called calling methods that throw exceptions. And then it just so happens that there's really no support for that anywhere here in the material that you see. Later on, we will talk about this idea of throwing an exception. It is a way for Java to recover from an error. So let's say, for example, a file doesn't exist. We could throw an exception so that when our program terminates, something has either happened that was terminal, so it prevented the regular execution of our program, or just through the running of the course of our program, we would have come across a place where we would stop, right? And then that exception is a way that we could see later on, oh, look, our file wasn't here, potentially. Or we could throw an exception saying, an array out of bounds. And again, that is something you cannot see because you haven't done them yet. And I really wish that it wasn't here. I know what they're doing. It is foreshadowing. They're telling you that this is going to be something that we'll talk about later. But then they didn't support it with anything. And I know that for me as a student, if I was coming through here and reading this, I would be unimpressed. I can tell you that for me as an instructor who has to make up for this bullshit when they put something in here that is completely unsupported, that makes me unimpressed. But what I wanted to do was, you can see the throws IO exception in there. And quite frankly, here in chapter 5, I am perfectly okay if you just see that and go, yeah, that's a line of code. And frankly, you can leave it at that. We will spend lots of time later on coming back to that idea. I just really wish that they hadn't seeded it here with so little background or support. It's just a little out of place.